Egypt didn't want the Palestinians. Nobody in the region wanted the Palestinians. The unspoken truth of the Arab Brotherhood is that the Palestinians don't really count and are disrespected. And Egypt said they can't come here because we have too many. Jordan said, we're like all Palestinians here. They can't come here. And that is the counter narrative.
Okay, I can answer that counter narrative.
Although Egypt did say early on, but we're not saying they can't. We're saying we shouldn't. They shouldn't have to because they have a home.
You see, this is again one of the talking points that get repeated, and people don't know the reality behind it. People say like Arab people do not accept Palestinians. First of all, there are 2.5 million Palestinians in Jordan already. There are 4,600 Palestinians in Lebanon already. There are 5,900 people in Syria already. Egypt, my wife has had like a refugee document. So we have many, but we don't count them. You know why? Because we don't treat them as refugees.
What is going on, everybody? Lucas here. Bassem Youssef sat down and did something you almost never see on Western television. He did not argue feelings. He argued facts, population numbers, direct quotes from Israel's own founding prime minister and the Likud party's own charter. When the host asked why Arab countries won't take the Palestinians, Bassem had a simple answer. You're shooting someone in the face and getting angry at the neighbors for not burying the body. Then he pulled out the Ben Gurion quote, Israel's own George Washington saying, we took their land and you don't have to accept it. And Netanyahu's own words from 2019 saying, someone should bolster Hamas to prevent a Palestinian state. Their words, their receipts, full breakdown at the end. Subscribe and let's get into it.
Wait, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. We've already taken a lot, but when we take them, we basically allowing Israel to do what they want, which is evacuating the land from Israel. And the whole thing about like, we're killing them, why don't you take them, is like you going out in the street, shooting someone in the face, and you're angry at your neighbors for not burying him. It's crazy. It's like that you're basically blaming the people that don't want to take them, but you don't blame the side of the conflict that's doing the killing. It's madness. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. I also don't think.
And also for Israel, I'm Israeli. Let's say some miracle. Egypt says today, all right, let's take them. 2.2 million people goes into the Sinai. They have access to the sea. What do you think these 2.2 million, they're going to just sit there? They're going to retaliate, try to come back. They're going to have the sea open for them now. They're going to have Israel like controlling. This is going to be the Egyptian problems, and then they're going to have weapons. They're going to have an open desert in the Sinai. Is this safer for Israel?
Right. Everywhere is like Yemen.
Now you're going to create like a very unstable focus that's not going to be good for Egypt, nor good for Israel. So it's not even. So it's not. Here's the thing. Do you notice how the pro-Israeli people talk about the West Bank? They say Judea and Samaria, aka West Bank. Judea and Samaria, aka West Bank. They are already changing it.
Yeah.
Because if they can do that to 2.2 million people in Gaza, in a few years from now, they're going to find another Hamas in West Bank. And they're going to bomb the West Bank.
Hamas is growing in popularity in the West Bank now because of what's happening there.
Of course. Enemy of my enemy is my hero. Okay? And the thing is, you have already the 3.5 people, they have no rights. The land is being taken away from, like a Jewish person from Poland can land in Israel, take a land of a Palestinian that's been living there for 600 years. Doesn't make any sense. So, and now they're going to push people into Jordan. It's like, why doesn't Jordan take them? Why doesn't Saudi Arabia take them? And here's the thing about my relationship with Israel. Growing up, I had absolutely no problem with Israel. Of course, they are our enemies. We fought 4 wars with them. But I was one of those people who really liked Sadat for doing the peace process. Because, and I know that we were like, we dealt short. The negotiation was bad. Kissinger was like a master. But at the end of the day, we took Sinai and peace. No more war. No more war. No more. Like, please, anything. Let's have whatever compromise, but no more war. So I have no problem with Israel existing. And when people's like, Israel's like, where are you going to take? There's like, there 9 million people. Where are they going to go? Khalas, it's complicated. And a lot of people hate me for having this very centrist, but I said, I was practical. But then I see those people who have a lot of people in the Arab world acknowledging their existence. Okay, have used it. They're not acknowledging other people's existence. They're not acknowledging the Palestinians. They're even becoming to question my existence as an Egyptian. Because now you see, I'm not talking about like people on Facebook, I'm talking about official ministers, they are going there in rallies and having the greater Israel map behind them. What does that tell you? From the Nile to the Euphrates, that is, they're basically swallowing 8 Arab countries, half of Egypt, half of Iraq, all of Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, parts of Saudi Arabia, and parts of Turkey. So when you get me that, wait, I've been accepting you all your life, and now you are accepting me. So I want to tell the Israelis, I want to tell the people who say that Israel, the Jewish people have more right in this land, more the Palestinian. I have one question for them. Explain to me why is that so without using religion.
Without using religion?
Yeah.
I understand the point.
Because what do they say? Because like God gave it to us. Which God? We are the chosen one. Chosen by whom? It's a promised land. Promised by whom? Your God. It's not my God.
I don't think any of it should be based on religion.
But here's the thing. All of like the liberal Zionists, I'm talking about the liberal Zionists now, who like support Israel. This like, we are secular, we're democratic, we're separation of church and state. And when it talks about Israel, it's biblical. All of a sudden, it's biblical.
Well,
it's because of the Holocaust. What did we have to do with it?
No, it's not just because of the Holocaust. It's because when the issue becomes whether people want Jewish people to exist, Israel to exist, you're making it existential. And what does make them different is their faith. And as an extension of that, the blood of people in that faith. And, from the river to the sea scares
Of
those
course.
people.
But you know who came up with this?
What, Israel?
Yeah, the Likud Party chart in 1977. Haven't you read it?
But it's not who's using it now.
You wanna hear it? It says
But
like this:
doesn't
the
it
rights
matter
of
who's using it
no,
and
no,
how?
wait. The rights of the Jewish people in the land of Israel is eternal and indisputable, and it is important for it connects to the right of our peace and security. Therefore, Judea and Samaria will never be handed to a foreign administration. From the sea to the Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. We just make it rhyme better.
You make it rhyme better. But it's like,
have you read it? But the thing is, this is what Israel does. They do stuff and they project it on you. Those people who are chanting from the river
But
to
you
the sea,
can't blame
Palestinian,
Israel.
and you can't blame the people for chanting for that because they're desperate. They don't have a superpower supporting them. They don't have the international media supporting them. And all of them can see, and they go and shout and they chant in the streets. But the official charter of Israel, the official people, they're talking about from the rivers to the sea, greater Israel. So how can you compare people in the streets or Facebook by the official stand of the Israeli government?
Israel is not trying to expand its borders into Turkey and Iraq, and that's not going to happen. Okay.
Well, we thought. We thought that Gaza was not going to happen, and we thought that.
Well, but look,
we thought that the illegal settlement would not expand that much.
This has been happening since Israel was formed, in one way or another.
Okay.
And I believe it's a situation where the problem has always worked better than any solution. Kind of like our southern border. Things that frighten people, things that keep people divided, things that keep people angry are a very good control mechanism. Yes. And I always have wondered when I've worked in that part of I was talking to somebody about you today, and they're like, you got to talk to him all about his medical career and how he feels about it. I said, I get it. If you focus on healing and what matters for people, what you're doing with laughter, what you're doing with instructive humor, what you're doing with satire is so powerful. And it can be healing. I think the dialogue is healing. Look,
I'm loving this. Because
it's easy for me to have the conversation, though, because I'm not emotionally and personally invested the way you are and the way Jewish people are. I have a lot of Jews in my life. I have Jews in my family. But I have Arabs in my life. I have Muslims in my life. I don't have them in my family, as far as I know. But it doesn't matter to me. But it's easier for me to have the conversation. I don't have blood on the line the way other people do. And I respect that. A lot of Americans don't. They believe they can own an issue even though they have no part of it. Some people with more extended value than others. Like, I understand why Black people have an affinity to seeing minorities oppressed in other places of the world. I understand that. I understand why they would see commonality. I get it. And I think it's important to engage it. I do think that a lot of the explanations have their place, but are also a distraction from the present. Like, Blinken is over there. Israel just said no to the latest. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but it'll probably be true 5 times between now and whenever this ends, whatever that means. that Israel's saying, no, this phase deal, it's too long, we're not getting enough. I don't understand how this ends in a way. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how it ends at all.
Well, again, you asked a question. I told you, go back to the root of the problem, like we do in medicine, and I'm telling you, you do an incredible job because I've watched you many times. You have an ability. You're an empath. You put yourself in other people's shoes so you can understand, and I respect that about you. You're a big empath. You're empathic with people, and sometimes when I tell people put yourself into the other people's shoes, and someone who does that beautifully is Gideon Levy, the Israeli reporter.
Yeah,
wonderful.
He is good.
Wonderful, and he's very fair. He's an Israeli reporter in the house, and he's very fair. And sometimes when because it seems that for so long, and I'm sorry to say this, people don't want to hear anything from the Arab side. So I use Israeli quotes. And one of my favorite quotes, believe it or not, is by Ben Gurion, the George Washington of Israel. He said, and this is a quote from the book The Jewish Paradox by Nahum Goldman. He said, if I was an Arab leader, I would not sign an agreement with Israel. It's natural. We took their land. I mean, yes, God promised it to us, but our God is not theirs. Why would they accept it? Why would that mean anything to us? Yes, there was anti-Semitism, Nazis, the Jews, Auschwitz, but why would they pay for it? We are coming here to take their land, and you do not accept it. That is a direct quote by the founder of Israel. And he, in another speech, 1938, he said, let's be true to ourselves. Politically, we are the oppressors, and they defend themselves. We're coming here to inhabit, and they're already here. And then he said something mind-blowing. He said, behind the terrorism by Arabs is a movement, though primitive, but yet it is not the voice of idealism and self-sacrifice. I can just take those two quotes and put it in front of everybody. Somebody will say Hamas, I will tell them Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu, 2019, in the Likud party, said in order to prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state, someone should bolster Hamas, give them money. We've been doing that. That's been our strategy. So I don't understand the cognitive dissonance that people get me like Hamas, October 7th. And guys, don't you see what you're doing?
There's a continuum.
Like in 2001, in the video with Netanyahu, I'm sure you've seen that video when they say I have sabotaged the Oslo Accords. He was proud of it, and he was just dissing America.
And quotes from him when he's younger on television saying, "No, I don't think that there's a right to a Palestinian state."
So you see all of that, and people say it's the Palestinian fault. So when you push people for a certain limit, when you continue to dealing people like animals, they will behave like animals.
Listen,
let's talk about what Bassem Youssef laid out in that conversation, because he did something the entire Western media apparatus is structurally designed to prevent. He made the Israeli government's own words the centerpiece of the argument. Start with the Arab countries question, as it gets deployed constantly as a conversation stopper, and Bassem dismantled it in one sentence. You are shooting someone in the face and getting angry at the neighbors for not burying the body. That is, the entire argument collapsed. The question functions as permission. If the neighbors are the problem, then the bombs are not. And every anchor who asks it knows exactly which conclusion it is designed to produce. But the facts underneath it are the opposite of what the framing implies. There are already 2.5 million Palestinians in Jordan, 4,600 in Lebanon, 5,900 in Syria, hundreds of thousands across Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Kuwait. The Arab world has been absorbing Palestinians for decades. The reason they resist taking more is not indifference. It is because accepting mass transfer completes the ethnic cleansing. Egypt said it clearly. We are not saying they cannot. We are saying they should not have to leave. Taking them means allowing Israel to do exactly what it wants, which is emptying the land. That is not a talking point. That is a documented strategic reality. The Ben Gurion quotes are the ones that reframe the entire historical debate, and Bassem used them precisely. Israel's own founding prime minister said in documented remarks, "We took their land. Our God is not their God. Why would they accept it? We are the oppressors and they're defending themselves." The founder of the state said that. Not a Palestinian activist, not a protest chant. The George Washington of Israel acknowledged in his own words what the conflict is actually about. And in 1938, Ben-Gurion went further. Behind Arab resistance is a movement that represents national idealism, self-sacrifice. The founder of Israel described Palestinian resistance as legitimate national struggle. The documentation exists, and Bassem put it on the table directly. Then the Netanyahu Code landed, and it needs to be fully understood. In 2019, Netanyahu told Likud members that in order to prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state, someone should bolster Hamas and give them money. That is the sitting Prime Minister of Israel describing the deliberate empowerment of Hamas as a strategic tool to prevent Palestinian statehood. Then October 7th happened, and the entire Western media framework asked why Palestinians turned to Hamas, while the documented record shows the Israeli government was funding them specifically to prevent the political alternatives. The cognitive dissonance Bassem identified is not accidental. It is the product of a media environment that asks about Hamas without ever asking about the 2019 video. The Likud charter point sealed the argument about from the river to the sea. Every time a protester chants that phrase, they get called extremist and anti-Semitic. The 1977 Likud party charter states in official government language, from the sea to the Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. The official governing party of Israel put their version of that phrase into their founding document. Official ministers stand in front of Greater Israel map showing territories swallowing 8 Arab countries, including half of Egypt. Bassem asked a question that has no honest answer. How do you compare people chanting in the streets with the official documented position of a government backed by American weapons and money? Now, this clip is from 2024, and we have a partial answer to the question Chris asked about how it ends. A ceasefire took effect October 2025. Phase 1 traded hostages for detainees. Phase 2 is supposed to be reconstruction and demilitarization. Both sides accuse each other of violations while strikes keep coming. That is what an ending looks like when the root of the problem never gets addressed. A pause with a countdown clock, not a solution. A managed continuation of the same conditions that produced every previous explosion. Bassem Youssef did what this channel does every video. He used their own words against them. No speculation required. No outside accusations needed. Just the documented record of what Israeli leaders said in their own voices about their own intentions. Like this video, share it with everyone still asking why Arab countries won't take the Palestinians. Subscribe to Lucas Rant. We check everybody's homework, including our own. See you in the next one.